abroad or outside of Uganda to go and work. But these are the same communities that have been able to solve family issues, especially among themselves. If there has been like an individual who is going through, a family that is going through gender-based violence, they rise up as a group and they go and they discuss these issues in those families, and we have seen them settling issues without even bringing in the local authorities, which I believe, because in most cases the answers come from the communities themselves, and they are the ones who even know the problems themselves, and they are able to sort them amongst themselves. The other thing that we have tried to do is to encourage them to come up with community initiatives. We have had communities that they have, most of them actually are doing VSLA, Village Savings and Loans Associations, where they save, but then they also loan to their fellow members. And we have seen this happening where they have been able to take back their children to school. They have also been able to start up businesses, and in a way we have also seen families stabilizing to some extent, because like we said, poverty is the major cause, you know, of human trafficking, and obviously violence at the end, because when a family is broke, my friend, I'm a woman, I'll ask for the man for sugar. I mean, you will not tell me that you don't have the sugar. You're a man. You're supposed to be a provider, you know. Yes, so, and we see the man trying to help the woman understand that there's no money. I will not understand. You get, especially if my children are hungry. So yeah, we have seen these VSLAs, the communities have benefited from them. They have been able to support their own families, and we believe that, of course, these are good things that are happening in our communities. Yeah, but also we have, and this has come as a result of awareness, you know, raising. We have emphasized that the answers come from the community themselves. It would be very challenging if a project came from Kampala and just went with solutions to the communities. They will not be sustainable enough as when they would have these initiatives coming from them themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's quite interesting, the work that, of course, there are laws in place. I don't want to go so deep in it, but there are laws that are there to protect even the survivors, to protect even actually to prevent gender-based violence and, you know, human trafficking for the same. So literally, our response, so say, is in accordance to these laws, right?
Yes. True.
And therefore, there are certain issues that need legal understanding for our people to understand. Do you think there is a gap in the legal framework in Uganda?
Yes, the gap is in this particular area, in awareness. The policies are in place. We have legal frameworks in place. The question is, these people that they have made these laws for, do they know them? Are they able to use them to their advantage? Are they able to use them? Have they educated them to be able to know their rights? You know, most people are suffering because they do not know their rights. They do not even know that there is a law existing, you know, against, you know, this kind of thing. The other day I was just listening to someone speaking, and they were trying to actually explain the anti-pornography bill. And they said that the fact that, you know, someone has taken a nude video, and if we have been relating, and then you take a video and then you share it without my consent, you're the one who has abused me because you shared it without my consent. So the consent bit there is really important. But we have seen the public has come out to condemn the woman instead, and they are forgetting that there was someone who was actually taking the video, you know, or someone whom she was performing the act with. So, but society has judged well the woman because, you know, they are the ones showing in the picture. Yeah, so it's basically the laws are there, the policies are there, good, very good, but the question is, are the consumers or those who are supposed to use these laws aware of these laws? And I think that's the question that we are supposed to address, because I have seen there are many activists out there who have spoken and have spoken, and I think we still need the government to strengthen this particular aspect, so that because when something comes from the government, there is a way it really holds, you know, a lot of, you know, water, if you like. Yeah, so I think it is in the area of awareness, so that when this bill, when these bills come out or when these laws are enacted, people are supposed to know, and at what point are they supposed to help the governments at the district level to be able to disseminate this information to the communities. Yes.
So, Captain, one thing I know is the church, like you mentioned, has the power. Ms. Julian has just explained the gaps. How do you think the Salvation Army or the religious sector can help the government to close this gap, or in the legal gaps, or even in how to respond to gender-based violence?
Thank you very much, Emma. One of the things I've said is that the religious leaders have a great influence when it comes to the masses that they lead. But I want to say that influence depends on a few factors. And one of the things I want to point out is the way we perceive things. Recently I was in a conference, and we were talking about gender-based violence and climate change. And I happened to be the only pastor in the whole group. And so one of the questions that they asked me is, where is the church when it comes to climate change and gender-based violence? And in my response, I told them one of the things and one of the gaps that we have is, as religious leaders, we feel it is our duty to take people to heaven. So we are only focused on taking people to heaven, and we forget that before we get to heaven, there are other factors and other things that are affecting our congregations. It is good to deal with some issues spiritually when we are dealing with them. And our example is Jesus Christ. When we look at how he dealt with things, there are things he would deal with them spiritually. But there are also other issues that he would practically do. For example, when he healed that blind man, he had to go down on the ground, make some mud, and then he put the mud on his eyes, and then he told him to go and wash. This is a practical thing that he did. So there are issues that as religious leaders need our practical input, not just telling people we are taking them to heaven and all that. Yes, everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to go to heaven as a broken victim of maybe certain gender-based violence or human trafficking or these other things. We need to create that platform in our congregations, such that these issues can be addressed, such that these issues can be brought up. And then we see how we can mitigate some of these issues. She talked about the gaps in the laws. As religious leaders, we need to know these laws, so that if our people come to us with these issues, we are able to guide them where they can get help, where they can, on what to do, not just praying for them and then wishing that the problem has been solved just like that. There is that practical bit that religious leaders need to do so that we bridge the gap. They need to know these issues and also be in a position where they can disseminate this information to the congregations that they lead.
Yeah, I think I like one thing, and I think I'll come back to Ms. Julia. He mentioned something that when the communities are aware, they're able to know how to respond. When a victim is identified or a person has been abused, what should that person do?
Okay, generally, I will tell you that they should report, but it is not, I would say that that's a linear response, depending on who the victim is. There are instances where the victim is actually the child, those who are adults, there are those who are, anyone, because we already agreed that anyone can be a potential victim. If depending on the weight of the abuse, the church will also be one of those areas where if you trust the spiritual leader, especially if it is a family matter, if you trust the spiritual leader, you could go there and then you seek counsel and guidance, because I believe the church, like you said, is very influential when it comes to how they have been able to merge, with communities. There is a way we see these spiritual leaders. We think they are closer to God, So the church can be one of those places that we can go to, like I said, depending on the form of abuse. The police, the police is also another place. And well, we have those stereotypes about what the police bring, but at the end of the day, you need something documented for reference, even because we have seen cases where this person goes to police to report, and then they are like, even the other day, even the other time, but where is the reference to that? So it's just good talk, So the police will be a good place, and I believe that there's something that can be done. But then also, if it is like a school setting, you identify maybe a teacher that you feel comfortable to share with and talk to them and confide in them. Now, of course, now that comes to children, also it's kind of tricky when it comes to the children to be able to guide them on where to go. So there are many places, especially if the challenge comes when the abuse is actually coming from the parent themselves, and it is happening to the child. That is also kind of complex, but there are avenues where people are there. We have had organizations that Salvation Army. We have had instances where people have come to our offices seeking help, guidance, counseling. We are privileged to have a child protection department, where we have received some cases in the social department and things like that. So, yeah, like I'm saying, depending on how free you feel, we have avenues in place, people in place that can be able to be of help. Don't keep the problem to yourself, because also keeping it yourself, it translates into trauma in the end. But why? Speak out. Maybe that's why the statistics are higher for women. For us, we will speak, we will speak. And even when you speak, there is a way it reduces on the weight, in there emotionally. Yes, so those are some of the avenues.
And maybe just statistics show women.
Yes.
Captain. Yes. Are men also abused?
Yes, men and boys are abused. And one of the things, like she has said, the reason why men don't come out to report issues of gender-based violence is because as a man you are held as an example. You will show yourself as a weaker man when you report that you are getting abused. Okay. When the society expects you to be the leader of the home, expects you to be the head of the home, but now you are here coming out to tell us that you are being battered by your own wife or by your own children. Yes. So the reason why the men do not come out is because they fear the being labeled as weak men. Mm-hmm. They fear as coming out to the society only to be referred to as men who are unable to become men who are not really men. So I think that's one of the reasons why we have that gap. And we need to create an avenue where men can speak out, even if not to the world, but they can speak to other men in such a way that they can get help. But it is true that there are so many men who are suffering in silence. A story is told of this woman who would always be screaming every day, and neighbors were wondering, why is it that this man is always beating the wife? Why is it that this man is always beating the wife? So one day they decided enough is enough, and they decided to go inside the house to try to rescue this woman, only to find that the woman is sitting on the man beating him, and she's the one who is shouting. Wow, so issues like this happen, but because men have nowhere to share out without shame, then they find it difficult to come out and share these issues.
Yes, I think that's...
And I think that's where we need to demystify that norm. Yeah. That is a society norm that has put men at a very disadvantaged level, where they feel we cannot come out. And they are human beings. We are all human beings. So I think that is why our statistics are actually low. We need to create awareness to the men and tell them they can come out. The other day I was sharing with someone the same story close to Lagos, where for close to about 4 years, the woman was battering the man. And this one time the man came out and just slapped the woman, and it was a big deal until she went to police to report, and they said, excuse us. So they bring out a list of references where the man has been reporting for the last 4 years, and he has been reporting not to arrest the wife, but for purposes of records, you know. Okay. So that this one time when it erupts, you know, he knew this woman would go to the police. So when she goes there and they're asking, so have you brought yourself to arrest you, or are you also just, do you want us to also record this for purposes of recording? And ever since that time, the violence has never happened, ever again. And now they are happy. Yeah, so I think we need to demystify that one, that true, the men also suffer. But how are we able to create those safe spaces for them and not even judge them, because they are fellow humans and probably they suffer most. But we thank us women, God has given us this lift.
I think the man who comes out, it's true, once because of culture, and men naturally have to stand up as the beacons of the home. Yeah. And I think in that process, even if they are battered, like Ms. Julia said, they will try to. But I feel in this era, a man who comes out to speak is man enough. Yes. Actually, the one who conceals the information is not man enough, because for example, the gentleman took a step to go and make sure he's doing the reporting.
Yes.
You see? But you will understand the mere fact is saying, don't go and arrest this woman, there was love.
Yes.
And Captain, do you think preaching love is one of the biggest step we can take? Because I understand from this story it was love. Though there was love of beating.
Mechanical love.
Preaching love, do you think will bridge this gap that we have in our community?
Love means different things to different people. And I would say that the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sins. In other words, love is able to cover other areas that could potentially be bringing issues in the family and the society. So yes, preaching love is the first step. But I will put it a notch higher and talk about the love of God. If we begin with the love of God, when we come to preaching the love between the people, it becomes easier. You know, across us two dimensions. There is the vertical one and the horizontal. The vertical one is where we love between the love of God and man. And once that one is straight and that one is okay, it is easier to spread it across. So unless the one that is up and down is okay, even when we preach the horizontal one, it is not going to hold water. So we need to begin with the one where people are able to love God, and once they love God, it will be easier for them to treat their fellow man in the right way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Captain. I think viewers, as we come to the end of this conversation, this video, you, in anti-human trafficking project, there are a number of things that are done to make sure that the vice in itself is not in existence. You mentioned there is awareness raising, there is dealing with illegal, advocating for better policies, and also there's some victim work that are supposed to be done. How do you think the government should be on front line in this situation?
It has to be on the front line. There's no other way. Because, like I said, when the voice of the government is at the forefront, we only help to amplify it. Yeah. So there are policies that they have that are in place. They have the legal framework in place. They could help to educate the communities, like we say, from the district level down, to trickle down to the grassroots. Yeah. So if they can help to bring out these laws clearly, whether using media, using NGOs, CSOs, and all these other organizations that are against violence, of course, because I believe there are very many organizations that are in this fight, not just the fight against violence, but we are fighting all other vices. We are also eliminating poverty, we are fighting human trafficking, all these other things. So if the government can come out and support and also strengthen their systems, it will really help even us, the NGOs who are behind their voices will be amplified much better.
We are there as CSOs to support the work of the government because they are the first responders to this. Captain Stevie, as we come to the end, what could be the best way as Salvation Army when we have had, do we have a specific office in Salvation Army that deals with gender-based violence, or there's a department that directly deals with this, or if our viewers are here, they would want to get more of this information, do we have these conversations within Salvation Army?
Yes, we have these conversations, and we are even encouraging better engagements through our officers. because this is not something that just is dependent on just one office, but this is something that needs to cut across. So we have one particular office of child protection, and these are some of the issues that come up and are dealt in that office. But again, like I've said, when you have an issue like this and you want to get help, you can go to the nearest Salvation Army unit, you can talk to the officer there or the pastor there, and that will be the beginning of how you can get help within the Salvation Army. And just like Julian has said, where there are other sources where you can get help through the government structures. And this way, people will be able to get the help they are looking for.
Thank you so much, Captain. Ms. Julia, your last words for everyone.
Yeah, so dear viewers, we are going for a very long holiday, and there are things that you may not be able to get. For example, meat. You may not get a new dress. Don't use it against the other gender. Let's learn to live within our means. If the husband has brought beans, we thank God. So my voice out there is basically to the women to be able to get information. Try and get information as much as you can. Media has lots of information on it. See how you are able to understand these laws that are able to protect you, protect yourself from violence. There's going to be a lot of violence, especially this Christmas season, where but let's learn to live within our means, and we will be able to live in harmony as families, but also as individuals.
Thank you so much, Ms. Julia. Captain Stephen, any last words for
like I've said, the religious leaders have great influence on the community and the congregations that they have. I would appeal to them to promote humanitarian values through those congregations. They should be able to disseminate information and also contextualize issues such that we can speak against the vices that people are going through. Let us not just focus on taking people to heaven and then forget major things that needs to be dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain, for accepting to be on this panel, and thank you so much, Ms. Julia, for always being available to discuss these issues. And I think this is a very good step for us. I think in our next talk show we shall invite the one dealing with the child protection, so that can also give us more light after this Christmas festival. Like Ms. Julia said, there are a number of all kinds of violence that are going to be there, but we pray and hope that this don't happen. To our viewers, this today marks the end of the 16 days of activism. We had a talk show on 25th where we discussed about the same issue, and today marks the end. However, this does not mean that the response or fighting gender-based violence is ending here. No, we are proceeding and we are continuing to make sure we talk about this thing. And today also is the UN Human Rights Day. So it's a day that we speak against all kinds of injustices in the community. I want just to thank you for always following us, and we want to invite you to continue following us on our platforms, on Facebook at Anti-Human Trafficking Project, on YouTube, Salvation Army Uganda Anti-Human Trafficking Project, on X at AHT Project Uganda, Instagram, still Anti-Human Trafficking Project. Till next time, I remain Watak Emmanuel, and I still wish all of us a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. From us, Salvation Army, we say bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
This year I was struggling with things.
Choko,